So today I have a special guest here. Her name is Ida Azefor, and she is a financial coach, correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, great. And tell me exactly if why would I come to you in the first place? Why would I hire you?
Great question. Why would you hire me? Because a lot of the financial coaches out there, well, not coaches, when it comes to the financial world, right? A lot of people are trying to tell you what to invest in, what to do, but they don't deal with the mindset piece. And personal finance is behavior. Personal finance is your mindset. Because we all know, think about fitness. We all know in order to lose weight, eat less, do exercises. But why don't we do it? Something doesn't connect. Same thing with the personal finances. We all know spend less than you make. We all know. We all know those things that have been repeated over and over. But why don't we do them? Something hasn't connected, and it's the mindset piece that is missing from a lot of people. And so, as a financial coach, the first thing I deal with any of my clients is the mindset piece.
Okay, well that's really refreshing to hear because me as a health coach, I say the exact same thing. Like you were saying, people know to eat healthy, people know they should exercise, but they're not doing it. So finding out those blocks and those limiting beliefs. Yeah. So can you expand on that a little bit?
So personal finance, it's 80% behavior. It's only 20% what you know. And so for a lot of people, we spend money we don't have on things we don't need, oftentimes to impress people we don't even care about. So the question behind it is, why is it that you're trying to impress people? Or why is it that you are doing the things you do? If you haven't actually understood yourself, if you haven't understood why you do the things you do, then trying to change your behavior without understanding why you have that behavior is really just counterproductive. And so oftentimes, like when I want to talk to a client, like I said, the mindset piece is always the first one. So if somebody walks over to me and it's like, okay, either I'm in debt, either this or either this and that is this is my situation. We go back to, okay, what is going on with you? What is going on? For me, I wasn't born and raised here. I live in Canada, Montreal. I wasn't born and raised here. I was born and raised in Africa. And at the age of 24, I moved over here. And coming here, I didn't know anything about the credit system. I didn't know anything about the way things work in the West, because back home it's all cash based. But that's not the reason why I got into debt. Getting financial coaching is from my own personal story, because I got into 60,000 plus of personal debt. I didn't get into debt because I moved to a new country. I got into debt because of all the other things that were going on. And so I had turned to stuff to fill a void that could not be filled by stuff. You might be feeling sad, you might be feeling whatever thing might be going on. Your first instinct is, hey, I think if I buy this new whatever thing, I'm gonna feel better. I think if I buy whatever something, you're gonna feel better. And then you go buy that thing. And for a little while, you're okay with it, you're excited about it, but that excitement dies away. So something which is actually going on is not being taken care of. Something which is deeper than the debt, the finances is the symptom. Those are the things we see. But the thing which is actually going on, there's something deeper. And so it's that thing behind the surface that I try to deal with. And that's what it means by like, I want to handle the mindset piece first.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, this is the reason I wanted to connect with you is because, part of my coaching is going into finances. And because, health is not just, it's not just what you eat, it's not just exercising, it's not just, the basic things that people look at. If you're eating healthy and you're exercising, you can still be unhealthy because your finances are a mess. Of course, it's going to cause you a lot of stress, and the stress is going to cause you, these illnesses. So, yeah, definitely that all relates and interplays into that. Now, I know that you specialize in working with foreigners, right? That
Yeah, especially newcomers to Canada. But I work with everybody, but my message is really geared towards especially the newcomers to Canada, new immigrants, because I am one.
Mhm.
I'm no longer new, but I was once a new person. And so from understanding the struggles that I went through, I'm able to tailor my message to the people who might be going through the same thing that I had gone through when I came over here. So it's not just a new system. It's a new system plus a lot of things that are new to you. So not just a new financial system, not just a new approach to, okay, you have to have insurance or you have to have a credit card, you have to have a credit score. It's not just that. It's dealing with that, but also every other thing that as a newcomer you get to deal with. So that's why I kind of focus on them, but the education piece is for everybody.
Yeah. So, you're talking about mindset and you're talking about, all this new things. So, my what I'm hearing is that, perhaps part of the reason that, people that are brand new to the US are getting into financial debt is because, they're dealing with maybe a little bit of being homesick and, just being in a new land that's foreign. So can you talk about that a little bit?
So there's a little bit of that homesickness, but there's a lot more to it. So one thing that people who come from a foreign country to establish here have to deal with that other people don't have to deal with is the fact that you probably have a new family here, but you still have family back home. And so your financial obligations, it's not just about taking care of me. It's taking care of me, but also taking care of the family that might still depend on you back home. And so maybe so there's that one part of it. The second part of it is, okay, when you come over here, you're dealing with language barriers. We all speak English, but we do speak it with an accent because we speak so many other languages. And so those languages all play into each other. So you're coming here, most often coming as a professional, because I was an accountant back home and I came here continuing the accounting field. And I was fortunate to be able to not take a very long time to get back into the field. But a lot of people come over with, for example, PhDs, masters, they're doctors, medical doctors, and they have been practicing for a while. And they have a huge, really, really good income. But when they move over here, you cannot just be a doctor. Even though you have been a medical doctor and you've practiced for 20 years plus or whatever, when you move to America, you move to Canada, you cannot be a doctor in America, you cannot be a doctor in Canada. So number one, you're getting that everything that I have always identified myself as, I'm really not that anymore. The dreams I was moving over to this place, thinking I was going to accomplish, I can't just accomplish them anymore. So there's that sadness that's there. It's like, okay, why did I move here in the first place? You start to say, you know what? I should rather have just stayed home. But now at the same time, guess what you have? Even though you don't have your exact income that you had there, you have this new stress factors that the environment has put on you. Like nobody's putting it on you, but it's just natural. That's what's happening, right? You have this new stress factors. But you now have a piece of plastic, a credit card, because somebody told you, hey, you need to build a credit score. You have that. And so what do you do? When you're feeling that thing, those emotional things that are going on, added to the fact that most people don't express themselves for what they're going through, most people don't talk about it. Most people just internalize like depression and everything. Like most people just keep it in there. But you have a little outlet, a little something that would allow you to feel some semblance of joy. What do? Take your credit card, go shopping. You go buy whatever thing you want to buy because somebody told you all you have to do is pay your minimum payment. You're like, well, so I have this $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 card. There's money in it. Yes. I could use it like I want. Yes. All I need to do is pay the minimum payment. Yes. Those are the things you hear. So those are things that we have to deal with because we don't, well, everybody has to deal with them, but it's additional for newcomers because other things are stressing them in addition to whatever other thing might be stressing you as a born and raised American or born and raised Canadian. You get what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it's just those little things that before you get to learn the things that you're supposed to have learned, you're probably already deep in debt. Yeah. And then you get to this place where it's like, okay, in order for you to increase your income to go back to being that medical doctor that you used to be back home, maybe you need to go back to school. But your obligations are already in such a way that you cannot afford to reduce your income, to take a pay cut so that you can go and improve yourself. You cannot afford to do that because let's say the person it's making, let me just be like, give round numbers. Let's say the person is making $50,000, for example. And that's really generous because most newcomers don't earn up to that. But let's say you're making $50,000 and you have a family. You're taking care of your family here. That might be enough for you. But if you have a family back home that you're taking care of as well, that's not enough. But now imagine, because you're making that and you want to go back to school in order to get yourself to a better place where you could maybe start earning six figures, hopefully. You have to get a pay cut right now to make that happen. But where does this difference come from financially to continue to take care of your family and everybody else? So some people find a way to make that happen, to take that step back in order to go forward. But most people don't. Or most people, like, people have different ways of dealing with it. And so sometimes you see somebody who has this goal, this vision, this desire to go and do this thing, but they're in a place where they are stuck because financially it's just not happening. So a person like that coming to me is like, okay, let's understand what is actually going on. What are the things that are important to you? Where is it you want to be? What are the obstacles you have right now? And if we kind of look at all of that, there are things I'm going to tell you to start doing. There are things I'm going to tell you to stop doing, which are very uncomfortable, but you have to make that uncomfortable choice right now so that you can get to the place where you want to be. And so in sum, that's it. So it's the finances that you see as, hey, financially, I can't make this thing happen, but there's a lot of things behind that. And so if we can uncover that for any person, then you start to get them past this roadblock that they have. You start to get them to the place where they can start to feel like, hey, I can do this. I have more control over my circumstances than I thought I could, or that I thought I did. But for you to do that, sometimes like you need somebody on the outside looking at it to say, hey, Christina, this is what you need to do. This is what I see going on, and this is how I can help you.
Yeah. It's, I mean, once you explain it, it's pretty much, a similar kind of formula that you implement, with really anything in our life, right?
Yeah.
First of all, coming in as a coach, it's like, saying that it is possible. That gives somebody that kind of comfort that, okay, I'm not as bad as I thought. I'm not hopeless. All of a sudden someone's giving me hope. And then, looking at, again, what are the limiting beliefs and the blocks, and going through that, and then finding out what are your major goals, and then just making little steps, a plan towards getting that. So, it's a simple kind of process, but in the midst of it, right, it just seems like this impossible feat, that you just don't even want to address in the first place.
Yeah. And so you started off by asking, why would somebody come to me? Because when you go to any other person, the thing they first tell you is, hey, go and buy the stock, go and do this, go and do in crypto, go and do this, go do that. It's like, no, that's not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem that needs to be solved for me to get past that roadblock, to be able to do the things that you're telling me to do. And so if coaches need to then, well, if somebody calls themselves a coach, then they need to understand that that's the thing that needs, like, you need to go get past that roadblock. But unfortunately, I think we have very few financial coaches, but a lot of financial advisors and a lot of financial investment advisors and financial advisors. We have a lot of those. Mm-hmm. Even on my profile, when I post things, I get a lot of financial advisors coming back to like send messages or like things. Or if I say something and people will be like, okay, for example, an example of something that I shared out there. A lot of people, financial advisors, are going to reach out to you and sell something to you, not because that's what makes sense for you, but because that is a thing that is going to give them the highest commission.
Mm.
And so one of my posts that I made out a long time ago, because I have a lot of friends who are like medical doctors who are like high income earners type thing, and my sister too. And it's like, they're like, these people are reaching out to me and they're saying I should buy this and I buy that and I buy that. I'm like, okay, one question you need to ask them. I said, I don't sell investments. I don't sell insurance. I don't sell any of that. I teach the mindset piece. One thing I need you to ask them if they are a fiduciary. And I'm like, what's that? I said, well, a fiduciary simply means that the person is going to act in your best interest. And they are not just going to sell things to you like a medical doctor. Think about, you go to a medical doctor and they prescribe a medication to you based on the fact that a pharmaceutical company is going to pay them commissions. No, you want to know that your doctor is telling you the thing that is good for you and not the thing that a pharmaceutical company is going to entice them or is going to reward them for doing. It's the same thing when it comes to the finances. A lot of people would sell things to you because it's going to get them a huge commission and not because that is what's best for you. And because people have never ever learned that there's a difference between those things, they just think, hey, if somebody says go and buy this stock, oh yeah, it's going to make me money. Yes, it's going to make me money. No. You're going to give them a commission because they sold it to you. Or go buy this type of insurance. No, it's because it's going to give them a commission. And I'm not saying don't get it. I'm saying be informed enough to know what you want, what is going to work for your situation, so that when they say go get this, you know the kind of questions to ask them to know that this is actually what is going to work for my situation. And case in point, for example, insurance. A lot of people are going to tell you to go buy like whole life insurance, but the vast majority of people only need a term life insurance. And again, I don't sell any of that, but I explain the differences so you understand this is what I need. No, that's not what I need. And when you go now to have that conversation with your insurance broker, you can ask the right questions. Like, why are you suggesting this one to me? Why is it beneficial to me in my situation? People don't ask those questions.
Yeah. So you're providing them with the education that they normally, they wouldn't really normally seek out, and they definitely don't know.
Yes. And that is the second part. So it's the first part is the mindset where we always begin. And then the second part is like, okay, now this is what you should do, but go talk to this person, go do that, because I cannot provide that product to you. I don't sell any products, stuff like, yeah.
And to me, it doesn't make sense that if somebody is already in some kind of financial crisis, why would you tell them, to go and invest, in something when, they're trying to stop spending money, not put their money somewhere, in hopes, risking really that they're going to get some type of return at some, unknown time.
Yeah, but although the investment portion is very, very important, because if you don't invest, just earning your salary or your income from whatever thing you do, that is never going to get you to like the financial goals that you want. Your income is going to take care of you now. It's going to take care of the bills. It's going to take care of it's the seed you need to be able to plant the tree that you want to harvest from in the future. And so those are things you need to be doing. Reducing the spending increasing the income, but also knowing the things you should be investing and investing in them. But if you're in debt, then investing is not the thing you want to start to do right now. Mm-hmm. So it's more like a holistic picture. It's like, okay, where are you? What are the things you're struggling with? Where do you want to be in X number of years? Okay, so this is the plan we have for you. But if you're in debt, that's where you start. But how did you get into that debt? Okay, there's a mindset piece to it. So let's handle that first.
Yeah. Okay. So you are kind of walking me through the primary steps. You told me, okay, first you're going to work on mindset. Then next you're going to work on education. What's next?
First is mindset. Next is the education piece. Third is, but all of that, it's like going towards your goal. So it's so I don't want to work with somebody forever. I want to work with somebody. Ideally, you want to work with somebody and get them to a place where they could then take off on their own. Of course, they could check in with you every now and then, but at least you want that person to know what to do. Just like when you're doing your fitness, right? You want to teach but you want that person to be able to go ahead and continue to implement the things that you have taught them and not to relapse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if for me, if I have gotten a person to have the right mindset thing and they have paid off their debt and then they are working towards this goal, that for me is success. And so first thing, like I said, is the mindset piece. The second thing is the education piece. And in the education piece is, okay, these are the things you should do, which depending on each person, it varies. Every single person is going to have a different recommendation for me, but it's always going to be towards some end goal, which is your own goal. And which for most people, they've never ever thought about their own goals because they've never stopped to have that conversation with themselves. Like, this is what I want. Because you're always doing what everybody else wants without even knowing that you're doing what everybody else wants.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, so tell me, what are some key tips in getting out of debt in the first place? Like, I'm in debt right now, and I'm in this panic mode. What would be some key tips that you would tell me to start that process?
First thing is awareness. Yes, you're in debt, but you need to know how much debt I'm in. How much debt am I in? If I continue to make payments the way I'm making them right now, how long is it going to be for me to get out of debt? Is that what I want? The way I want to be in? So if you look, for example, at the back of your credit card statement, if you're carrying a balance and you look at the back of your credit card statement, it tells you if you only make your minimum payment on this debt, it's going to take you X amount of years. Now, it's just that not only just reading that, but actually internalizing it. Like, do I really want to be paying off debt for the next 20 years based on what the statement is telling me? And so it's writing out all the debt you have. You have to actually do the exercise. Take a piece of paper, open up your computer, open an Excel sheet, put it in, put the amounts that you have and see what the total is. See how much you're paying for each one and see how long it's going to take for you to do that. Mm-hmm. That picture should scare you. That picture should scare you. And now when you realize that that's not what you want, mm-hmm. the next thing would then be, okay, let's look at your income, your expenses. What can we fix? What can we reduce? How can we increase your income? Who do you have to start saying no to? So things like that. And it's very uncomfortable. It is very, very uncomfortable because if you're somebody who's very used to, say, for example, every Friday night, for example, the girls are going out, you guys are going hang out, you go spend how many ever $100 you spend on that outing. Those processes to say, the next time your girlfriends call you to say, hey girl, we need to go here, like, I can't go today. I can only go once a month, or I can only go once in 3 months. You're going to start losing some friends because those friends are used to having you party with them all the time. But because you're starting to make these changes, because you know that that extra $100 is better served paying off your debt, then you can say no and be okay with the fact that you might lose some of your friends because they want you to remain the person that you have always been. Mm-hmm. But do you want the new you enough to be willing to lose that old you? Mm-hmm. That's the hard part.
Yeah, I can imagine, definitely. And again, I think that kind of goes along with a lot of things, when we're trying to become that, that person that we are, and always we say, it's good to surround yourself with people that are supporting where you want to go, that new person that you want to be, and that are kind of inspiring you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, so let's say I'm not in debt. How do I avoid getting into debt?
If you're not in debt, how do you avoid getting into debt? Live below your means. So at the minimum, you should be putting aside 10% of your income towards something. You should be putting aside 10% of your income, which is paying yourself, which is, it's not to take and spend on something, it's to take and invest on something, right? You're constantly doing that at the minimum. And you're also setting aside a reasonable amount of it, which is your fund money, money that if you wanted to go and say Christina wants to go to France next week, Christina is not getting into debt to go to France because she has put aside X amount of dollars every single month for those projects she wants to do for herself. So it comes down to, I mean, debt is not bad. Debt, you just need to know the kind of debt, because having a mortgage is debt, right? And unless you don't intend to buy a house, or if you intend to buy the house and you intend to pay cash, unless that's what you intend to do, you're going to get into debt for something. Right? So it's just about knowing the kinds that you're willing to get into, like get into debt that is going to produce you an asset or an income producing debt, for example, or an asset that's going to put money into your pocket, for example. Ideally, for example, if you wanted to start a business, I'm going to say go at the speed of cash. But if you're going to go into debt, then you better have it in a way that it's not going to put you, like it's going to pay for itself. It's going to fund itself. So you want to start a business and you need funding from the bank to make that. Only go and do that if you are sure that this business venture is going to pay for itself. It's not going to leave you worse off than you started.
Okay.
I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, kind of. Like you're saying that, at least with that last comment, is that, you know, you're investing in something that you know that it's gonna pay off. It's a kind of like it's a sure thing.
Yeah. So I was saying debt is not bad. It just depends on what kind of debt. There's good debt, there's good-ish debt, and there's bad debt. So so I wouldn't say completely avoid it, but if it's like the consumer debt, no, only buy what you can afford. And if you cannot afford it, instead of telling yourself, back to the mindset, instead of telling yourself, I can't afford this, it's more like, okay, how can I afford this? What do I need to do in order to be able to get this? Maybe you need to start putting aside more of your income so that in 2 months, you're going to go buy this thing that you wanted, for example. It's just little ways of getting around it.
Yeah. So basically, like, we just need to be a bit more mindful, not just, you know, doing things on impulse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and back in the days, there was this thing called layaway. Right now, layaway doesn't exist anymore. Right now, we have the credit system, but layaway was a good way to put the money aside for the thing that you want to get, and then eventually you get it, and it's like delayed gratification, right? You just practice delayed gratification and you're even more satisfied with the thing you end up getting versus like just consumerism culture. It's like, hey, I want this, okay, go get it, pay later, go get it, pay later. So
yeah. So you create your own layaway
yeah.
Okay, well, Ida, thank you so much. I really appreciate very, you know, wise words and a lot of useful information that I'm sure a lot of people can put to good use. Now, if somebody wanted to connect with you and learn more from you, how would they go about doing that?
Thank you. The very best place to reach me right now is on Instagram. My handle, it's my two names, Ida Azefor, so at IDA-AZEFOR. Also, my website is the same, idaazefor.com. And wherever you are on social media, you're going to find me with the same handle at Ida Azefor. But the best place is definitely Instagram. And when you get on my Instagram or whatever platform you see me on, there's a link in my bio. And that link in my bio takes you to a couple of free resources that I have out there. So if you wanted to go grab something I call the Healthier, Happier, Financially Better You. It's a little guide that I put together, and it's not about health. It's not about fitness. It's about you, healthier, happier, financially better you. You grab the guide. It's a free PDF guide, which you can take and then practice some of the things that are in there, and you would get yourself to a better place.
Oh, okay. Well, great. That's some great information. Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to speaking to you again another time.
Thanks for having me, Christina. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.